All right. Welcome to our first ever episode of the Consistency Corner's Unfiltered Fridays. So I'm really excited today to have my friend Kathy on the show as a co-host. And instead of a traditional interview style podcast that we do a lot here, Kathy and I are just going to have a conversation. She's one of my friends, and I had this idea last week. I was actually on a walk, which I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about that because she, as a health coach, has encouraged me to walk a little bit more. But I had an idea because I was feeling bored with social media. And it was like, well, what can I do differently? Because I understand content. I know that it's important from a marketing perspective. And I thought, well, one of the things that social media right now for me has felt like is it feels like I'm talking to a wall. Like the engagement isn't there. The stupid algorithms are not showing people my content. And so then I'm not getting any feedback. And so I thought I really want to have conversations. And we can do that so much better on the podcast if I bring a co-host on. So that's the idea of these Friday conversations, is that we're going to just kind of have in the moment conversations about what's going on in our businesses, our lives, things that I think other female business owners definitely will resonate with and relate to, because we're all going through similar paths on our journey as business owners. So Kathy and I today are going to chat about the unsexy process to get to success. And Kathy, before we dive into that conversation, thank you for being my first co-host.
Yes, I love it. This is great.
And just tell the listeners, anybody who's not familiar with you, a little bit, just kind of like your, 5-second or 2-minute intro.
My elevator pitch.
Yes, your elevator pitch about you and your business.
Okay, so I'm a health coach, and I help high-achieving women over 40 prioritize their health and wellness so that they can increase their energy. And if they're also a business owner, improve their profits. Because as we all know, where energy goes, so does your business, typically. Although we may talk about that today.
Yeah.
I feel like you're putting a lot of energy somewhere and you're still going nowhere. So I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that's a really good segue, because that's the thing. It's like energy in the moment. You feel like I'm putting all this energy into this and I'm not getting the results that I want.
Right.
But I think for a lot of people, it's that I'm not getting the results that I want yet.
Ugh, Ruth, why do you have to say that? I struggle with that because I have been, and you and I are similar in this. We both started with network marketing, right? Like, honestly, for me, it's coming up on 10 years ago almost. So I feel like I've been trying to be successful in this whole entrepreneur thing, whatever it is, for a long time. And it's challenging because you don't know, like, how long do you keep doing the thing until you pivot? That's like the word of 2022 or 2020 or whatever year that word became so popular. But anyway, because sometimes, and I feel like I remember this a lot in network marketing, so maybe I might be getting a little triggered. It's the whole like, well, it could be next year, it could be your next month, it could be your next client, and that could be true, not network marketing as well, right? So, but when do you know when to take a break or pivot, or I hate to say the word quit, but sometimes your mental health is going down the drain, and it's like, gosh, how important is this? I struggle with it, especially having, a full-time job and doing this on the side. Sometimes I just think, why am I doing this? I have a full-time job. I'm making money, all the things. But then, as you also know, I got laid off a month ago. So for me, that is all the more reason, even if this side hustle or whatever you want to call it is not making me full-time money yet, to me, that's just even more reason to keep going, because that could happen to anyone. It just is what it is. And if nothing else, it helps me mentally to just give me something else to focus on while I'm also job hunting. But anyway, just that word "yet," that's just funny.
I know.
When you say that, it's like, but how long? Like, how long do you keep going until you really have given it your best shot, or given it enough time legitimately to work or not work, whatever it is, whether it's a content strategy or a podcast or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think also determining, like, is it something that you enjoy the process, right? Like podcasting to me is a good example of that, because as you know, I just started a podcast fairly recently, And I mean, I'm not really super concerned about like downloads or any of that. I'm
Hmm.
just really trying to just enjoy the process. And I
Yeah.
do,
Yeah.
so
I'm so glad you said that about process because I was thinking about that this morning with, business results and launches and offers and all the things. And
all the things.
I have been in a season this past year where I'm not quite getting the results that I want, and I was thinking about I coach, and I've been in the network marketing space, also have been in the health and fitness
Right,
space, and I
right,
would coach to focus on progress over perfection.
right.
And when you don't see the progress, focus on the process. And
Oh,
so
yeah, that makes sense.
going back to, okay, I had a launch and it didn't go the way I wanted to.
Right.
Okay, whatever. I have gained 40 pounds in the past 4 years, and I, take a walk and I didn't lose those 40 pounds,
Yeah.
but I took that one walk. Dang it. So it's like, okay, you're not going to lose 40 pounds instantly. You're
Right,
not going to create a brand new offer and make $100,000 instantly.
right.
So how can we create processes? And
Yes,
I know you coach to this a lot with habits, but how
yes,
can we create processes that we enjoy, and we can celebrate
yeah.
when we stick to them?
Right. Well, I mean, for me, it's super easy to talk about that for health and exercise specifically. Well, really anything, like the process of, let's just use your walking example. Let's say you have a large goal of weight loss. Like that's large, meaning that's your sort of overarching goal. But to your point, you're not going to go for one walk and lose 40 pounds. So if not, you'd see everybody in the neighborhood walk.
Yes.
There wouldn't be any room on the street to walk. But anyway, breaking that down into, I like to call them like baby steps or bite-sized chunks or whatever. Really, it is the process. Like, what's your daily process going to be? And then I love that you mentioned celebrating it, because I do like to talk to people about like get out a calendar, like just a basic calendar. And let's say that your goal is to walk 3 times a week. And so every time you walk, put a check mark or an X or highlight it in yellow, whatever, that day. And then if you get to the end of the month and you've got, let's not go for perfect, right? So perfect, if the month was 4 weeks, let's just say it would be 12 walks, right? So you'd see 12 check marks. Well, what if you get 10 out of those 12? Let's say we celebrate that, or maybe you celebrate at the end of each week. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
because a month, whenever you make a change, a month feels like forever,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, why am I not losing weight yet? I've walked 3 times. Like I made a smoothie 2 times or whatever. And I get it, making those habit changes is hard. And so it feels like we should be getting more results than really what is warranted, right?
Mm-hmm.
So celebrating, whether that's weekly or monthly, and not celebrating, to your point, perfection, which in this instance would be 3 times a week or 12 times in that month or whatever. Instead, celebrating that you walked. I know you and I have talked about this on Voxer. You had a goal of 3 times a week, and I think you walked twice, and you were kind of poo pooing on yourself. And I was like, yeah, but last week you walked 0.
Mm-hmm.
So this is good, but this is good information, right? Because maybe 3 was too much,
Mm-hmm.
to that's how you figure it out. And that's
Yeah.
like, I'm so good at that pivoting for health and wellness. I can do that all day long. I mean, especially for somebody else, right? And that's kind
Yes.
of maybe how you feel too, right? Like you could help me all day long with my content, but maybe you struggle, on your own,
Yeah.
possibly.
Well, and I think that's like right there is a huge reason why mentorship and
Yes,
accountability is
yeah,
so important, because we can do for other people so much easier than we can do for
yeah,
ourselves, even
yeah,
the things that we're like, quote unquote, really good at. Like,
yeah,
I'm really good at coming up with content ideas and figuring out calendars and plans and strategies
yeah,
and all these things. And I'm okay at it for myself, but I bring in a partner to brainstorm with, and it becomes so much easier.
yeah,
And I'm
sure.
sure you, even as a health coach, like you have worked with health coaches.
Oh yeah, yes. I just actually took a break from one that I'd been working with regularly, only because I'm about to have a surgery, so there's no
Mm-hmm.
point, and then we're going to come back. But yes, and I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. I love not having to, because I mean, I just think it's so important to talk to someone who, as I like to say, doesn't have a dog in the fight.
Yeah.
They're not emotionally, they're looking at facts, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're just looking at facts, and they're just saying, here's our plan.
Yeah.
And does that work? Does it not work? You have that conversation, and holding me, I mean, to me, accountability is just huge. And even though I'm a health coach, similar maybe to you with your own content, like with my own workouts and that sort of thing, I still enjoy having someone to be accountable to and to bounce questions off. I'm that kind of person anyway. Like I like to collaborate
Mm-hmm.
in general.
Mm-hmm.
So, because I don't assume that I know everything. I mean, I don't, so
Yeah.
sometimes we can
Well,
be blind to other ideas.
yeah. And I think that having that accountability partner and or mentor helps us when we go down that rabbit hole of like, but this guru or oh, sorry, I was trying to was trying to record a B-roll. I'm creating two types of content at once, and
Oh my gosh, I love it. I should be recording a
my
B-roll.
my reel started like 3x my voice as it stopped recording.
You're so smart. I always forget about B-rolls. Okay, keep going.
So so we've seen so much, and I think this happened a lot in 2020, 2021,
Yeah.
2022 even. A lot of like just do this one thing and get this great result.
Yes.
The
Yes.
like hacks and tips, and
Yes.
I do, you and I both coach to and teach. It's
Yes.
the
Yes.
process.
Yes.
It's not sexy.
Yes.
Can those tips and hacks help? Sure. But if you do that one tip or hack and that's it, come on.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
not going to see the results. But that's not
Hmm.
sexy to
Yeah.
sell that and to
Yes.
teach that. And
Yes.
so I don't know about you, but it like grinds my gears at this point to like see people coach and teach that.
Yeah. I mean, I think just for me personally, going back to the first point we were talking about where you said yet, I think that for me is a big struggle. And this, we've talked about this in my own business is I'm all about the baby steps and it's going to take a while. And I really have learned that I need to work with a client who isn't like focused on just the numbers on the scale or something like that, because those things may or may not even change. Now, we might make great strides in your health and wellness. We might get you off medications and improve blood work numbers, and you might start sleeping like a baby where you never were sleeping before. But God forbid that number on the scale doesn't change. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, anyway, so I really struggle with that as a health coach because I'm trying to sell something that I used to always joke with my hairdresser because I actually used to personal train her. We bartered services, which was great. But anyway, and I was like, you have it easy because I come in here, sit down in this chair, and cut and color my hair or whatever. And literally within an hour, 2 hours, whatever, your appointment time, you have made a transformation, hopefully in a positive way. But anyway, you've made a positive transformation and I pay you and I leave feeling great. Whereas you and I, I'll speak for myself, but whereas with health coaching, I mean, I am guiding you, but you're really the one that has to do the work,
Mm-hmm.
and it's challenging and it's hard and it
Yeah.
takes effort and it takes changing, bad habits or trying to figure out, changing your schedule. And it's just, and as you know, sometimes that in itself can take a month or two before you
Yeah.
even start exercising regularly. It's just trying to figure out how and when and where and what and all the things.
Yeah.
So
And
I really struggle with that.
with health and fitness and with business, and I think the same is can be said and true about relationships, is like
Mhm.
none of that stuff exists in a vacuum.
Yes.
And so
Yes. Yes.
there's so many other factors. And so even though we want to know what's step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Yes.
there's like it's like a web
Yes.
and there's so much happening and influencing, and you can only control what you can control.
Yes.
And there's things that you can't control,
Exactly.
unfortunately.
Yes. That's why you never want to give someone a meal plan.
Oh.
I know that sounds weird, but let me
Yeah.
explain.
Yeah.
Because what if your meal plan says for dinner tonight, you're supposed to eat chicken and broccoli and rice? I mean, that's super boring, but let's just say. But
Mhm.
guess what? It's your son's birthday
Mhm.
and you're going to Chuck E. Cheese or whatever. Like, what are you supposed to do? So
Mhm.
I haven't taught you anything. I've just handed you this meal plan that, yes, theoretically, to your point, in a vacuum, you're going to lose 15 pounds in 2 months if you follow this meal plan. But guess what? You may hate broccoli. I don't know. Or, you know what I'm saying? So that's why And people want that. That's what people want. Just tell me what to eat. Just tell
Mm-hmm.
me how to exercise. Just tell me what to do. I'm like, I can't do that,
Yeah.
unless you're allergic to something. I'm not going to tell you to not eat anything.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
have to figure out, what does your life look like? What are the things you like to eat? That's what I like to do as far as nutrition is like, at first, get someone to like, just write down everything they eat and then let me see that. And then let's
Mm-hmm.
see how we can maybe just make small tweaks,
Mm-hmm.
maybe even to just one meal to start
Mm-hmm.
and then go from there. Because that makes more sense because now we're utilizing foods that you're already eating. They're not weird foods to you. I'm not telling you to eat fish and you hate fish or whatever. That makes me think that was the first thing I thought of when you said like in a vacuum, because I remember when I used to be a health coach, we had some dietitians we worked with, and that was like their biggest complaint because people would go to them and they'd just be like, just give me a meal plan. They're like, yeah, we don't do that. That's not what we do. Like we're trying to teach you here,
Yes, yes.
So
And it's the same goes in like I think back to school and like your teacher didn't want you when you like math. Your teacher
yes,
wanted you to show your work because they
yes,
weren't
yes,
teaching you to
yes,
memorize the
yes,
answer. They were teaching you how to problem solve.
yes,
And
yes,
so with your health and fitness, like problem solving, when things come up, life
yes,
happens. How do
yes,
you learn
yes.
to
What's the
make
best decision?
the right
Yes,
decisions? And
yes,
in business, as the market shifts,
yeah,
you know, a new platform came out. There's
yes,
a recession. There's,
yeah,
what a pandemic. I don't know, whatever
right.
it is.
Whatever.
Things in the world change. And
Yeah,
so when you rely on somebody to just tell you what to do,
yeah,
then you can't make decisions,
yes.
right?
And then you're also, oh, what's the word? Dependent on
Mm-hmm.
that person.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that reminds me of personal training when I used to do personal training and people would come in and I would tell them what to do. I would tell them a good personal trainer will tell you, my goal is not for you to have to come in here and pay me every time you're working out. Like you
Mm-hmm.
should be learning from this. And obviously, some people it's going to take longer than others, and that's okay. But eventually I should be teaching you how to fish, right? Like teach a
Mm-hmm.
man to fish. Like I should
Mm-hmm.
be teaching you enough so that you feel confident enough to come into this gym or at your house or whatever and do your own workouts. Now, you
Mm-hmm.
might like somebody making up your workouts or, follow a video. I get that. But, that reminds me of that, being
Mm-hmm.
so dependent on someone that you're like clueless, that's not good.
Yeah. And even I think that goes back to the accountability conversation is that like if we're dependent, quote unquote, on somebody for accountability in the beginning as
Yes.
we're creating habits.
Yes. Yes. Totally fine.
Eventually, once we've created those habits and we've become the type of person that does that
Yes.
activity, if
Yeah.
we don't have that accountability partner, we can still do
Yes.
it,
Yes.
right?
And then maybe we go back to them, as is true with like a business coach or health coach or personal trainer. Then maybe it's like a once a quarter kind of thing
Mm-hmm.
where it's like, okay, I've been doing this. What's the next step?
Yeah. Yeah.
Then it's,
That's
yeah.
That's so funny that you brought up your hairdresser. I was just thinking about the other day. I got my hair done and I
Uh-huh.
was driving home. And as I was driving home, there was like lawn people working on our
Uh-huh.
neighbor's yard. And I thought, man, that is the business to be in, cutting
Yes.
hair or cutting grass.
Yes, that's
Because people
true.
are always going to need it.
Yes. Well, and also because it's immediate gratification, which we know
Hmm.
is very popular in our society. So, having that immediate like wow
Yeah.
that you can see,
Yeah. So I've been
so
listening to a couple podcasts lately about like nervous system regulation
oh,
and then
okay.
another podcast about like capitalism, like very crazy into the spectrum. But
Whatever.
my point is, okay, so we grew up, you and I are in our 40s. We
Yes.
grew up in like the age of now we have like lean cuisines and
Yes.
TV dinners and slim fast. And
Yes.
like,
Yes.
I think we grew up when instant gratification became a thing.
Oh, interesting.
Like we think
Okay.
about our parents, like they
Yeah.
didn't have microwaves
Right.
when they were
Right.
kids.
Right.
But
Right.
we had that when we were
Yes.
kids.
Yes. Yes.
And so our brains were like wired as we were growing and in our like formative years to see that
Yeah.
instant. And it only has compounded from there, like since the internet.
Yes.
And we have things at our fingertips. And so
Yes.
we have to rewire our brains to
Yeah.
know that like not everything is instant.
Yes. Yes.
And that doesn't mean it's wrong or that we're
No.
doing it wrong.
Right. And, my story or example for that is always, I was 39, almost a month away before I got married.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about practicing patience in a time of instant gratification. I think, to be totally honest, the silver lining, there are lots of silver linings not getting married till you're 39. Having many years of doing your whatever the heck you wanted to do, but also just I think I have amazing grit, tenacity, patience, because that forced me to. There was
Mm-hmm.
literally nothing I could do about it.
Mm-hmm.
I put myself out there. It's not like I was sitting at home being a hermit, so I was basically doing all the things I could do, and it just was one of those things,
Mm-hmm.
where it forced me to be patient. I had
Yeah.
to, if not, I would have gone crazy, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but we're definitely used to having that instant gratification or looking at others, comparing ourselves, that kind of thing. And assuming though too, because I think also in the age of social media where everybody's showing the A roll of their life, you assume that people who I'm sure have worked very hard, that they're overnight successes or whatever, and you have no clue what's going on behind the scenes. I think I assume that they've worked very hard
Mm-hmm.
only because, I've been a business owner and trying to be successful and make full-time income for the past 10 years. So I know how hard that is.
Mm-hmm.
And they've worked very hard or spent a lot of money getting people to help them or both,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
that's fine. I have no qualms, but I feel like I can appreciate that. But maybe people who have not tried to build their own businesses, it seems like they're overnight success. But I also think it then makes those people think they can't try to start their own business, right? Because they make assumptions about how easy so and so. Well, she's has such a famous last name, or
Mm-hmm.
she didn't have to work because her husband made good money, so she had all the time in the world to build that business, or I don't know, fill in the blank,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
when really, I think anyone can build a business if they want to, but it does take patience and grit and tenacity, and some people it's just not that important to them, and that's fine.
Yeah.
um
Well, that
sometimes I wonder myself.
But that whole idea of the like having a team, that I
Yes.
think is something that I think we're starting to see people be a little bit more
Yes.
transparent about
Yes.
that. But,
Yes.
even like celebrities, like, okay, let's talk about J-Lo, for example. Like,
Love her.
love her. But
Yes.
her documentary, like, it shows that,
No, I
like,
haven't seen it.
oh, it's so good.
Okay.
It's called Halftime. I think
Okay.
it's on Netflix, but
Okay.
it chronicles the year that she was the halftime show. And she was
Oh.
also like Oscar nominated that year, or
Yeah.
Golden Globe nominated or something. She was in a
Whatever.
big movie.
Yeah.
And it talks, she shows very much behind the scenes, and you see A, how many people are helping her, but
Yes.
B, you see how much work she is doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can have a chef and a personal trainer, but
Yes.
you still have to do
Have
the
to
reps.
do the work. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
to do the
Yeah.
work. And
Yeah.
from a business owner perspective, and I think about this a lot in the like influencer
Yes.
economy, which
Yes.
barf, we could have a whole nother conversation about that. But you see people that like they make their life look effortless.
Yes. Yes.
What you don't see is that they might have a nanny. They
Yeah.
have a personal assistant.
Yes.
They have a social media team
Yes.
that's helping them.
Yep. Yep.
And they have sold themselves as a personal brand.
Yes.
So they're not talking about those people
Yes.
that
Yes.
help them.
Yes.
And I think that was for me in the network marketing space, I can tell you that was a huge eye opener.
Yeah.
When I
Yeah.
realized that some of the top people had a team.
Oh, yes.
You
Yeah,
know?
absolutely. Yes. And I've had to explain that to some, I work with Faster Way, and I
Mhm.
work with helping to train some of the new coaches with that.
Mhm.
And I've been working to explain that to some of them because they don't know it and they feel really bad about themselves
Mhm.
because they don't know why they can't do all the things, or they're
Mhm.
feeling, so, and I'm like, you don't understand, those people that you're looking at, they have teams of people, and I'll say they started just like you.
Right.
So just take the next step. Just
Right.
pick one platform, or pick one, to your point, Ruthie, talking about content, pick one platform, or commit to 2 posts a week, like whatever is that you can realistically do on a regular basis, then maybe quarterly you reassess. Could you do one more post a week? Could you start an email newsletter? Whatever, but just appreciate that it took them time and it'll take you time, and you can't come in and then be at the same level that they're at, because
Mhm.
that's just not how it works. But yeah, it doesn't,
Yeah.
you don't know that.
Right, right. And you're right.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you can't get there, but you can't compare your chapter 1 to
Yes.
their chapter 30. Like
Yes.
they're
Yes.
just different. You can learn
Yeah.
from them, you can get
Yes.
best practices, but you've also got to take the steps and go through the journey yourself
Yeah. Yeah,
to
totally.
get to that level.
Yes. Yes. And that's
And
true
that's the
with
part that's
everything.
unsexy.
It
It's
is.
that because it's time. It's
Yes.
process.
Well, and it's time that you don't. I think speaking of business stuff, like I think I mentioned this on our call the other day with our mastermind. I don't know if you were. I think you were there, and I was like, sometimes I just think I'm doing all this work, and I have no idea if it's
Mhm.
really ever going to amount to anything. And am I going to
Mhm.
be 70 looking back? And going, all those years in my 40s, I got up early and spent, 2 hours before I would start my full-time job. And like it, but I don't know, to me, I have to look at, like building the relationships like with you and the other women in the mastermind. Like that alone, to me, that alone is valuable. Just that.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
even if I never get to a point where I'm making, full-time income with my business, I will never regret like having joined the mastermind and paying that money and learning. I just love learning. I think to me, sort of, it's kind of a hobby in a way. What I mean by that, not that I don't want to make money, but I just do love learning
Mhm.
about like social media and email marketing and all the business things. It's fascinating to me. So
Mhm.
I kind of look at it like that. Like it's kind of my little like, my husband likes to work on cars. I
Mhm.
like to learn how to grow a small business, like
Yeah.
really. I mean, I really kind of had a realization about that, because I'm like, well, this is what I'm spending my money and my time on. And they say,
Yeah.
what you spend your money and your time on is what, you enjoy, or it's your priority. And I just realized like I do genuinely enjoy it. Will
Yeah.
it ever get me somewhere? I don't know, but I don't think I'll regret it because I enjoy it. It makes me happy,
Yeah.
even just to learn.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
that's so true. Well, okay, so I mean you and I were totally aligned that like it's the process. It's not instant results. I'm
yeah,
I'm thankful that I feel like I'm starting to see that more
yeah,
in the social media space. And
yeah,
maybe it's because of the people that I choose to follow and the
right.
community that I
Yes,
choose to
yes,
surround
yes,
myself with, and quite honestly unfollow the
yeah,
people that are selling hacks and
yes,
instant transformations because it just makes you feel bad.
yes,
But I'm excited to see that shift
yeah.
in the culture. And I kind of came to those realizations by taking walks. And
Oh,
so
yay.
I would love to
White space.
yes, the
Yes.
white space. And so that's what
Yeah.
I was going to kind of ask you for what's happening for you as you're going through stuff in your life. You've got a
Yeah.
surgery coming up, you've got your, job stuff that you're
Yeah.
suddenly thrown at you.
Yes. Woohoo.
What have you been thinking about while taking walks lately? And what are walks
Um,
doing for you in this
well,
season?
for me, it just keeps me grounded, to be honest, when I am starting to freak out. I mean, I realize luckily we're in a good place money wise. I mean, we're not, because most likely, given my timing of my surgery, I did get severance pay with my when I got laid off, but that will go away and I'll still be recovering from surgery. So there will, even if I have a job to go to, there will still be a gap in there.
Mhm.
But luckily, yeah, I mean, luckily I'm not a big spender. So I'm honestly, what I'm doing right now as far as money is, I'm still getting paid because I got severance, which is awesome. I've never had that before. So that's a new
Mhm.
experience for me. I'm already kind of acting like I'm not making money, if that makes sense. So,
Mhm.
we're not do, we're not spending maybe like we were before.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I just thinking about that kind of stuff, and just thinking about like what I really want to do. I've actually had a couple of positions I've applied to this morning, actually, that I'm actually really excited about, both of them. So which is nice, you
Mhm.
know.
Yeah.
So knock on wood, I get an interview for maybe at least one of them, and I don't know. I've been trying to enjoy not having to work, but it's hard when that wasn't your choice.
Yeah.
It's one thing if you're like retired and you're just able to just not work,
Yeah.
but I think when it's not planned, it's challenging. But I'm just taking each day, and I'm still, like planning my days. I'm still working on my business. I'm recording my podcast. I'm doing my posts. And, like I'm just still, I'm like, I helped my husband with one of his jobs today. So I'm definitely staying busy and trying
Mm-hmm.
to enjoy it as best I can,
Yeah.
while still job hunting. And I don't know,
Yeah.
just
And
haven't keeping the faith.
it's interesting, like when life throws things at you
Yes.
like that, like for you, like getting laid off and having something happen. Like for me in January, like breaking my leg. Like
Yes.
it throws something into
Yes.
the mix, which I
Yes.
think
Yes.
is honestly a good opportunity for us to slow down and
Yeah.
reflect,
Yeah.
right?
I will say this. I had noticed previously, earlier this year, I was starting to have some bouts of high blood pressure. I've never
Mm-hmm.
had blood pressure issues. I would feel like my heart was in my throat beating. It was the weirdest feeling, really scary.
Mm-hmm.
And it happened one time when I happened to be at the doctor, my primary care doctor. So I told her it was happening. And so she took my blood pressure, and sure enough, it was high. But I
Mm-hmm.
said, here's the thing, it's not happening.
All the
It's not like it's
time.
all the time. It's just
Yeah.
like these bouts. And we thought it was maybe a medication. So I stopped taking that medication. Well, long story short, since losing my job, it hasn't happened at all. So I'm like, I didn't think I was stressed. I enjoyed my job. The one I got laid
Mm-hmm.
off from, I enjoyed it. But I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it was stress. There was pressure,
Yeah.
time pressure typically. You know what I mean? Not,
Mm-hmm.
but I think I was more stressed than I realized, to be
Yeah.
totally honest.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just noticed that I thought about it the other day. I was like, oh wait, I'm not having that like weird throat high blood pressure thing.
My
I'm
heart is not in my throat
yeah,
anymore. What? That's
yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, so sometimes moving up the corporate ladder and making the big bucks is not what it's made out to be. That's for sure.
Yeah,
So
that's interesting.
anyway,
Well, I think this was a really fun conversation, and as
yeah,
we kind of wrap up, I want to ask
yeah.
you just a couple like rapid fire, what's going on questions. The first one is, what have you been watching lately? Anything good that you would recommend?
Yes. Okay, The Lincoln Lawyer. I don't
Oh,
know if you've
okay.
watched that on
Mm-mm.
Netflix. Okay, so have you ever heard of the TV show or the book series called Bosch?
Yeah.
Bosch? Okay.
Yeah.
So that's on Amazon Prime,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a series by an author called Michael Connolly. So my husband and I got really into the shows, and I've read some of the books too. And then he also wrote a series of books called The Lincoln Lawyer, because he
Mm-hmm.
works out of his Lincoln, the back seat of his
Okay.
Lincoln. He has a
Okay.
driver, and he goes all over LA.
Yeah.
And so I read all the books in the series because I'd heard it was coming on Netflix. And so anyway, they just came out with the third season. It's super good. And then we've also just finished the new Jack Ryan season as well.
Oh, Greg just watched that.
Yes.
So I've like watched it in like my
Yeah.
peripheral because he's
Yes.
watching
Yes. Yes.
it, but
Yes. So we just finished that, and that's on Amazon Prime. And so Lincoln Lawyers on Netflix and Jack Ryan on Amazon Prime. Oh, and
yeah.
the Tour de France, of course.
Yeah.
So that is what July means in my household, is the Tour de France. So we watch that every day. Today's a rest day, but we watch that almost every day. Either maybe not the whole race because it's like 4 hours long,
Mm-hmm.
but like the highlights, which is fun
Yeah.
because my husband and I are definitely both into that.
We started last night Quarterback on
Oh,
Netflix,
yes.
which is really good. We watched
Yeah.
one episode and it follows Patrick Mahomes, Kirk
Yes.
Cousins, and Marcus Mariota.
Oh,
And
nice.
I love a documentary, and
Yes,
like
I do
a
too.
sports
Especially sports.
documentary is
Yes.
really, really fun. So
Yes. I
yeah.
love a sports documentary too. There's some really good cycling ones on
Mm-hmm.
Netflix as well. So
Yeah.
anyway.
Okay, so my next question is, if you could travel anywhere this summer, like let's just say like money was not a thing.
Yeah.
And money's not a thing. If you could travel anywhere this summer, where would you want to travel?
Well, I've always wanted to go to Italy, so I'll
Mhm.
just pick that.
Have you heard how hot it is right now?
No, I
So
haven't.
I just saw that like Italy, like somewhere in Sicily, I think that it was like 126 degrees.
Oh, geez.
That like like the Italian government is like having to issue like warnings to
Oh,
tourists. Like it
no.
is really freaking hot here right now, and I thought it was hot in Florida,
Oh,
and it's
yeah.
apparently even hotter
Maybe I
there.
shouldn't go there, but that's where I would pick. I mean, that's a big country, and there's mountains and
Yeah.
beaches, and I don't know where I'd go. Maybe I would just do a tour where we could hit all of them, but I'd love to go there. What about you?
I would go to Colorado.
Oh,
We talked about going there last summer, and then we decided not to. And then this summer we're not traveling with
Yeah.
my broken leg and having
Yeah.
to pay medical bills. But that's
Yes.
on my bucket list of places to go in the summer
Yes.
sometime soon. And I want to go in the summer. I don't want to go in the winter and ski. I just want to go like in the summertime.
Yeah, I'm trying to think the last time that Neil and I went. I think it was actually in like September, which I mean, it was basically summer. It was really nice. I have some friends actually that are there from Nashville that are there right now, and I'm kind of vicariously living through them with all their hiking pictures. And but it looks beautiful.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Okay,
yeah.
my next question: your current favorite snack?
Oh, I would say so. Actually, I just finished these right before. These are from Trader Joe's.
Ooh, honey graham with dark
They're
chocolate.
dark chocolate covered honey grams with sea salt. Um, I had bought these for the beach like a month ago, and I kind of forgot about them because I had them in the fridge because they'll melt because it's chocolate.
Yeah.
And wanted a little something sweet after I just had a sandwich, and I was like, I saw it because it's bright yellow, and I saw them in the refrigerator, and I was like, oh, there were like 4 left, and they're really small, so I was like, I'll eat these before Ruthie. I don't know if I'll say those are like my favorite of all time snack, but
Yeah.
I just finished them, so
Currently
there you
loving
go.
these. Yeah, yeah. My current snack that I'm loving is veggie straws. And I don't know why, but I'm like into veggie straws
You're just
lately.
into them.
Yeah. It's just one of
That's
those things
cool.
that like they're crunchy and they're salty,
Yes.
and you can eat a decent amount and not
Yes.
feel like you're overdoing it.
Yeah, they're kind of light. They're not heavy, I don't feel like.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
had ones at Target during 4th of July that were stars and stripes.
Oh, that's fun.
And I bought them because they were 4th of July
Cute.
themed, which I
Yes.
thought was fun.
Yes.
So, okay.
That is fun.
Last question. Your
Okay.
current favorite, this is a 2-parter.
Okay.
Current favorite adult beverage and non-adult beverage.
So it's funny so I went for a hike on Saturday and it was really hot. And as we were getting towards the end, some people were talking about, oh, a beer would be really good right now because we were going to a pizza place. And I'm not a beer drinker. And I was like, you know what would be really good is I'm going to butcher the name, Gewürztraminer. It's sparkling white wine.
Yeah.
German, I believe.
Yeah.
And it is so good. And I had kind of forgotten about it. And for some reason it popped into my head. And now I'm like, I've got to go buy some of that. Just because it's not like champagne bubbly where
Right.
it hurts.
Yeah.
Like champagne can almost like hurt. It's just slightly effervescent.
Yes.
Super tasty. And okay, so not non-alcoholic, so not a child-friendly drink is, this might sound real silly. This was from my health coach, although I had seen it on Instagram and stuff, but had not done it until she recommended it. Water. I love water, but water with a shake of sea salt and a squeeze of lemon juice.
Oh, sea salt?
Well, so it's like the whole electrolyte thing,
Yeah.
but without doing all the,
Gatorade
I say
or-
Gatorade, or that type of thing, or
Yeah.
even some of the nicer ones, because they can get some of the like the LMNT, if you've heard of that brand or whatever, that can get pricey.
Yeah.
And it's just got a lot of ingredients. I don't know what's in it. I don't know. But to me, like salt and lemon juice, like I know that. And to me, it tastes good, and I drink more water, and it's getting in some salt in me, which, like, I went for an hour and a half walk at noon today.
Ugh.
Which was I say it was real dumb. It was fine. I sweat. It's fine. Like, I'm okay. I wouldn't recommend that to probably the lay person. But I was fine. But probably because I was drinking salt water, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. So I will tell you, there's a lady, I'm from Indiana, and there's a lady from Indiana, actually grew up somewhere near my husband because he said he knew people who knew her.
Oh,
And
okay.
I'd seen people that were posting a bunch about her. Well, it's a sad story.
Oh.
She was out boating and was dehydrated, got off the boat and drank like 4 bottles of water in 30 minutes, and she died.
Oh, no.
And they said it was water toxicity, and
like
that
too much water.
too much water too fast. And they said if she had drank like Gatorade or something with electrolytes,
Oh,
she would have been
wow.
okay. Or if she had drank slower,
Yes.
she would have been
Yes.
okay. But like it was too much too fast, and it like caused her brain to swell.
Oh, my
and like she's a
gosh.
mom and has young kids, and I'm like,
Oh,
it's like
my
heartbreaking.
gosh.
But it just makes me think about like
Yes.
sweating and electrolytes and like things that like you just don't always
Don't
think about.
Just don't get behind.
Mhm.
Ideally, if you were on a boat or out for a hike or whatever, like, you're drinking water with some electrolyte. And if you do like Gatorade or, that's fine. I'm not trying to like poo poo any of those things. It better to have that than, it is good to have water, but I think a lot of us like, oh, it should just be water. Well, really and truly, if it's this hot as it is for most of us, and we're going to be sweating, I'd rather play it safe and have the electrolytes just in
Yeah.
case,
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
awful.
I
What about
know.
you? Tell me your drinks real quick.
So my non-alcoholic drink that I've been liking is coconut LaCroix with a
Oh,
little squeeze of vanilla stevia.
oh,
So it's
interesting.
just like a
Okay.
little fun, tropical,
I
kind of
like
like a
it.
pina colada,
Yeah, yeah,
so I like that as like an afternoon kind of just interesting beverage.
yes.
And then, adult beverage, I bought these Truly red, white, and blue ones.
Oh,
They were
okay.
like, they had like a blue raspberry and a
Oh, gotcha.
cherry pop and like a
Yeah,
lemon
yeah, yeah, yeah,
ice.
yeah.
And
Those
so
are
I've been
probably
liking
good.
those because they're also like, again, themed, 4th of July themed. I love
Yes,
a
yes, yeah.
theme.
I'm seeing a theme about how you like a theme.
Theme, yes, very much so.
I love it. That's hilarious.
So,
Well, that sounds good. Now I got to go get some squirts.
yes,
And
yes, fun. Awesome. Well, Kathy, this was a fun conversation.
this was
If you
super fun.
guys like Unfiltered Fridays,
I
please
love it.
send me a DM, connect with Kathy on Instagram. She's got
Yes.
fun content, fun reels as somebody who helps her with her content
I got to post
planning.
one today, actually.
I gotta throw a plug out there for that. But this was fun, and we'll chat again soon. And thank you
Okay,
guys for
thanks,
being here.
Ruthie.
See ya.
Bye.